We are back, and the turbulence in the market continues. We'll be discussing the latest tariff news, everything going on in Asia, what's happening in crypto, and much more today on Money Never Sleeps.
That was strange.
Thank you for what happened.
I think it cut off. Did it not?
It was fine. That was the first time that the intro video has gone smoothly for me in months. So I don't know. Oh, God, what is going on? All right. Thank you for those of you who are watching today. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Remember, nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. Please do your own research for making any buys or sells. Kev, there was no show on Friday. A lot going on out there. More volatility, more shady market manipulation. But how are you doing on this lovely Monday at the midpoint in April?
Midpoint in April, and not to mention, 4-day week with OPEX. OPEX on Thursday, guys. So it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a short week. I'm doing great. The weather in America is starting to turn around finally. It's not cold anywhere. So, I'm jacked. I'm jacked to the tits right now. Excited about what's to come these next 2 weeks before Powell potentially might cut rates. Maybe it's a decorative cut, but I think that this is going to be a very turbulent 2 weeks. And I think turbulent was the perfect word to describe where we are right now.
Yeah, we have a shortened week because of Easter, correct? There's going to be Good Friday. Is are the markets closed on Friday?
Friday there. There's no trade.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
I'm looking at, shortened day. Okay. I'm looking at the calendar. Not a ton of data this week. We will hear Wednesday afternoon before we do our show. So he should be done. Jerome Powell speaking at 1:30 Eastern. So he should be wrapped up by the time we start. But he'll be speaking, I don't know where, but I'm sure the tariffs and rates and how this all plays together is going to be discussed. It was interesting. We got the news Saturday morning and tariffs, we're going to exclude phone apps. And am I back? Did I just cut out for a second there?
Yeah, for a sec.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the spinning wheel of death. That the tariffs weren't going to apply to certain things. And then we start to see some interesting buys on Friday of Apple options. And I mean, it is just full-blown crime, like financial crime time. You can do these guys are doing whatever they want. I'm trying not to get caught up in the manipulation of it all. It's absolutely wild. But I guess what was kind of your takeaways from the end of last week, and what are you focused on as we head into this week?
Yeah, I think people on Twitter and in the markets and hedge funds are stupid. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, we know that already. But I think they're more stupid now because they really don't understand this Trump guy one bit. I don't know. Like, people just forgot what 2016 to 2020 was like. This guy can move the markets any way he wants, right? He told everybody what a wonderful time to buy, and then he says no tariffs, and the markets just pump like crazy. But the reason I bring this up is he's sending you good news into the weekend. So obviously the open today is going to be fucking green, right? But then as soon as he talks, it's a sell-off, and then they're buying it back again. Are we not seeing distribution? This is distribution 100%, and it's not necessarily Trump, I would say. I would say it's the people who know that this is a perfect opportunity to dump before something else is coming down the pipe. That's just my interpretation of it, right? And we'll talk about what that could be because there's a few things. And Easter is also very symbolic. It's biblical even, as to something that could be very bad for the markets coming. I will bring up that theory. I brought my tinfoil and some GameStop shorts to talk about. But this is a very, very scary point because you kind of know what's going to happen before it happens. If he talks up bullish into the market close when the markets aren't open, obviously they're going to open up higher and they're going to close lower. If he's talking mad shit, end of the world is the bull case. It really is. Michael Gayed on Twitter always says that, and he's 100% true. When you feel like full capitulation, that's when you buy the markets usually, and it does pretty well. So that's why I think a rate cut's probably going to be what's going to mark the bottom of this market move. I think what we're seeing right now is we have a lot of unwinding to do with these hedge funds and margin calls that are coming down the pipe. So let's just offload every chance we get. And Trump's kind of giving them that opportunity. And again, I don't care what anyone says. This is not part of their plan one bit. Basant saying that this is the art of the deal with that other lady who, I don't know, some lady he hired to be in the cabinet. There's a bunch of them. And this is not the art of the deal. There's something deeply broken in the system. It's just they're trying to get ahead of it before, obviously, a lot of people lose a ton of money.
Yeah, I keep seeing the question of like, what truly could, like, before a correction, before a big crash, what could legitimately drive the market significantly higher to where it's worth putting more money in right now? And it's, I mean, the tariff trade, the tariff trade, I don't know where we even are in that. Like, it seems like we've gotten a lot of good news. You know, on Friday, we got news that India was willing to work out a deal. And the market rallied on that deal. So now that good deal is priced in. What if it falls apart? And then we just give back all those gains. So like it's just this, it feels like it's this descend, like we're stair stepping our way down where like we took the initial dump, we get a little bit of good news, we go back down, a little bit of good news, go back down. And like the dissension goes lower and lower each time. So I don't know what exactly we can get that's going to drive us to all-time highs. Like the price action, like the charts are just wild. I mean, we're seeing on the day all the major indices up about 1.25%. So a nice little Monday here. You know, crypto is looking pretty good. Bitcoin, you know, holding on at 85K, ETH at like 1640, Solana 130, Fartcoin looking. I mean, is there a stronger asset in the world than Fartcoin right now? I don't know if there is.
It's close. You know, I'm a GME bull, so I'm always gonna say that. Plus, I don't have any Fartcoin. Wish I did. I wish I bought Fartcoin when I said, "Hey, this looks like a cup and handle." Fucking idiot. Move on me. How can I literally buried my own grave. All right, I dug my own grave. So buried my own grave. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah, you know, we're looking at the indexes. This is the thing that concerns me, and this is why I don't like anything that's going on in this market. It's very fishy. It smells like 10-day-old fillet of fish. Probably still be fresh at that point, right? There's a bunch of shit that they put in those. But looking at this candle, guys, that's a hanging man. That's a bearish candle. There's different types of patterns and everything like that. If you saw this inverted from the bottom, that's a bullish candle because it shows you that there is a lot of buying and people are just selling the bottoms essentially. But this is a hanging man candle. Stupid name, just call it the hanging man. But you look at this thing, this is usually what you see at the top of a move. I'm not saying you can't go a little bit higher, but with OPEX, and I just checked, we don't have any market trading on Friday. So you have 3 days of markets after this going into OPEX, and there's a lot of money riding on this OPEX too. I would assume that the markets are flat or they're about to start reversing the move that we've had to the upside. And the key thing is too, we still have not put in a higher wave 4. This is a pretty good wave 4, but you haven't put in anything higher than 54.88. Gotten close. Hasn't touched it. So this is still valid that we could have one massive wave 5 drop. And it's not just this index. That's a hanging man candle too. It's a little bit worse, a little bit more severe than the other one, but we can thank Apple and Nvidia for that, which we will get to. And then you have the same thing here. I don't care if it's red or green. It's the same shit. But they're all at these key levels of support or resistance. And, you know, it's very possible something happens, and we don't have a rate cut most likely till May 1st. And I've said this before, it's a decorative rate cut. You're going to probably get one, and it ain't going to do much but juice the markets so that they can dump it on you again in September, October. But that's just
is that first rate cut going to be a massive sell the news event? Like, I think if we get data heading into it, excuse me, to kind of push us in the direction that we're getting a rate cut, some people might buy, but I think that they're going to be too late to the party. And when we get that first announcement of a rate cut, you know, look out below.
Yeah, you know, it's very tough. Like I said, end of the world is the bull case. Not my saying, someone else, Michael Gayet. Very smart saying, because there has been so much downward pressure, and we do know how that these 5-year loans have been playing out, right? Literally to the date of when most people started borrowing at 0%, markets shot up in 2020. doing the inverse in 2025. I anticipate that when markets started shooting up in September, October of 2020, we're going to get the inverse in 2025. That being said, I think that's when I would probably buy once we get the first rate cut. I don't care if people are selling off. That's the capitulation, right? I think that area, something's going to happen. People are just going to be panicking, selling off like crazy. But for the time being right now, that's kind of what we're just looking forward to. So yeah, I think it's gonna be very fun because the timeline is gonna have it wrong 100%. I think everyone on Twitter is gonna be like, oh no, we're going down. This is 1929. We're gonna crash all the way to 3600 next, and then we'll be at 56, 5700 in the S&P, up, I don't know, 900, 1,000 points, right? It's something like that's probably gonna happen, and then people are just gonna be on the wrong side of both trades. Small caps still gonna be the one I'm gonna be watching over the next few months.
I still think the Fed is very comfortable keeping rates here for a while. Like, unless something breaks between now and the next meeting, I don't think they're going to do anything. Like, we saw mortgage rates go back over 7%. That's an indication that the sentiment is that the economy is strong right now. Like, I don't see a situation where, unless something bad happens that causes that plunge, the Fed is just going to be like, you know what? We're just going to randomly cut right now. That doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Like, Jerome Powell has shown that he doesn't give a baker's fuck what Donald Trump thinks. And that's good, because like there needs to be that division. I don't know if you saw that, like there's been like something brought forward to try to
get rid of him,
give the president more control. Yeah, get rid of the Fed basically, which I think is a terrible idea, but what the hell do I know? What else do we want to look at now?
Just pulling up the 10-year real quick. Obviously, there's a lot of bullish sentiment. So you're seeing the 10-year, the longer end of the curve come down. Obviously, there's a sell-off, or I guess a lot of people are buying treasuries right now. You're seeing the yields come down a little bit. I will reiterate, this is part of a bigger play that'll probably push us up a lot higher. So given this week, there's two situations. We have another meeting in June, right? If something breaks between now and June, obviously rate cut. If something happens between now and May, rate cut. That's the black swan scenario. But we do know that this kind of shut up the tariff news a little bit. The 10-year was getting out of whack. The longer end of the curve was getting out of whack. And they said that the 10-year and all this getting weaker and the yields going higher wasn't part of the reason why they stepped back from a lot of this tariff talk. That's just absolute bullshit. The higher this goes, the more pain that there is going to be in the total markets. Again, where was this coming from? It was coming from Japan selling off treasuries, right? Now, don't forget, China also has a ton of treasuries. So China could literally, dump some of those fuckers, and we could be seeing this go north of 450 once again. Whether that happens now or after OPEX remains to be seen. But there is something deeply broken in this, because I look at this chart and I think that they could talk this down as much as they want. This thing's going a lot higher. I say it's going to 6% at least the 10-year, and that could be into the end of the summer, right? And you're seeing the markets rally, the equities rally, because no one wants to buy treasuries. And then you got 6% by September. People have all those debts that are coming due. People need to reallocate money from equities somewhere else. Now you're getting the 10-year at 6%, and when you were getting, I don't know, say the 5-year at 0%, it's a very lucrative trade that's coming down the pipe for a lot of people with a lot of money. Now, could yields go a lot higher in the coming years? I think so. But I think for what we're looking at, this is a bullish case for treasuries to go a lot higher. The yields, not necessarily treasuries are bullish, but the yields can go a lot higher from here. And that would cause a lot of pain. Maybe not now, but maybe in 4, 5, 6 months, we're in pretty much territory that Trump does not want to necessarily be in. Dissent definitely does not want to be in. Janet Yellen's even talking shit about them too. Today I saw saying that they're destroying the US dollar and hurting the treasury market. It's like, yeah, it's a tag team match. You guys did a pretty good bang up job, both of you. But more so Janet Yellen. Outside of that, looking at Asia, pretty quiet. This thing, the yen, they're doing everything they can to manipulate the market and hold us above this level. Obviously, if it loses it, it's going to probably spiral a lot faster. So we keep that in the back of our minds. The Nikkei defending critically this 31,433 level. You can see how much it's just absolutely it's just they don't want it to go down below that. They'll pump it up. They'll destroy the yen as much as they can to try and weaken it. Inverted candle there. we'll see how that plays out tonight. But the two charts I want to look at in TradFind, I've been going to crypto, Apple and Nvidia. So Apple obviously today opened up a lot higher. We talked about how they were juicing these markets going into the open today. Trump talks, they sell off a ton. Now it's coming back a little bit. This is distribution. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. I think that a lot of people who were hurt because they had a lot of this tech stock and they couldn't sell off at a fast enough clip. Otherwise, the price would have went down further, taking advantage of this opportunity to dump when it was at what, 220 this morning? Or no, I think it was in pre-market. It was 220, but it went all the way to about 212 in regular trading hours. So I don't know, man. You get good news and then they sell it right off. Not necessarily a bullish sign. Nvidia now here on this hits the trend line, gets rejected. Where is this probably going to head? Well, it's probably going to go lower than we were before. Probably lower than 87, $82. That's my guess. It's just there's nothing bullish right now. There's nothing to juice these markets. Trump's talk always gets reversed. You saw it happen today. I don't necessarily know if there's any catalyst outside of QE in some form. A BTFP 2.0, something stupid like that juices the markets, that's going to get them to feel confident. And I think they have more confidence in Jerome Powell than they do in Trump. I have no confidence in either, but this isn't about what I think. This is about what I think the markets think. And they're going to feel a lot more comfortable with Jerome Powell saying something more, I would say, towards QE, as opposed to saying we're going to be restrictive or we're willing to hold, and have Trump just, barking every 2 seconds, like, I got to get rid of this guy. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, the NVIDIA news too today of them, I guess, building a AI supercomputer manufacturing plant in the U.S. is what got a lot of people excited.
That was planned, bro.
I'm sure it was.
I know. I hate this so much.
That was another one. I like that idea. In theory, do we have enough people to it's going to take a while to build, and then trying to staff that kind of, I don't know. I think all of it's funny. I saw a chart, or I saw a statistic this weekend, a survey of American respondents. It was like how, 80% of people want more manufacturing jobs to be brought back to the U.S., but only 25% of people are willing to work those manufacturing jobs. So it's like, how is this going to work? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I understand that we want more stuff manufactured in the U.S., but do we have enough people to actually, make that happen? I don't think so. I don't think the numbers aren't numbering right now.
It was Chris, who always watched our show, sent me something talking about the quality of life for Americans is going to change. I think this also goes with Chem Carson, I talk about volatility in him. It's Chicago Board of Options Exchange. You always bring his stuff up. They were talking about how populism, pretty much like Trump's America First policy, will cause Americans more than anything to lose their quality of life, and to the point that we live in a very much capitalistic society where we want things, our quality of life, we want to go on vacations, we want nice cars, we want nice things. If we bring back those jobs, things become more expensive. Obviously, wages are probably going to stabilize. You're going to see interest rates go a lot higher, so you're not being able to borrow. Chem said that the 10 years probably going to 10% within 5 years or so. I actually kind of believe that. And if that's the case, then you're not going to see people living like they did since 2008, 2009. There's not going to be the era of like QE out there that people are going to be content with what they have. So it's going to be a very interesting shift, especially if they bring those jobs back. I don't think they're going to be able to. And this whole Trump policy of bringing everything back to America in the long run is probably going to piss off a lot more people than it is going to help a lot more people. I'm not saying I agree with it or I disagree with it. It's just that's kind of what we're looking at. And the other thing too that's really interesting is who's going to get hurt the most in this market, in the current market right now. It's the older generations. It's the boomers. For the first time in their lives, they're actually going to be in a place where, okay, I'm about to retire and everything's going down like crazy. I don't necessarily know where to put my money. And you're going to probably, we're also in a stagflationary environment. If that doesn't come down, we have, high interest rates for a long period of time, kind of like the 70s into the 80s, then, that's not going to be fun to be an old person. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but you're kind of getting screwed. So this is a very complicated whole mess right now. I don't think Americans know what they want. And that's kind of the scary thing, because anything could possibly happen in these markets, more than just, Trump's presidency. into the
Yeah,
future.
I don't think Americans know what they want, and I don't think the current or I don't think either side. I'm not trying to like just single out
No, I agree.
the Trump administration. I don't think either side would know how to deal with this. Like it is
Let's show.
a fucking mess, and all the red tape and all the bureaucracy. Like you have to be able to move quickly with some of these things. That's just not really possible right now. Let's wrap up by looking at crypto
Yeah.
and kind of see how things are looking there. We'll start with Bitcoin. We can look at ETH, Sol, Fartcoin. Fartcoin is the only thing that really matters right now, but let's start with Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Look, you're about to get a death cross and you rallied into it. That's all I got to say, right? You overbought on the daily. Guys, I'm telling you, there is something. There's like fillet of fish, like 10-day-old fillet of fish somewhere, and I smell it. No one else smells it. Everyone's in this market. They're like, oh no, we're going to go to 5,500. Bitcoin's going to 129K. Give it like 3 weeks. And I'm being generous. I'm being super conservative. I'm looking at this. Could you rally above it? Yeah, you could. The thing is, though, the volumes are dropping. You're pushing up off, and it's been relatively strong. Bitcoin, I will say that. Bitcoin has been strong, does not want to move down at all. It's been ranging within that 74, 80, 90K level. It doesn't want to drop, and it's been out of this channel for a period of time. I think this is a fake faux rally into these moving averages. If they hold, then maybe we do have this bullish scenario, but there's something telling me that there is something bigger that's going to happen, probably a bigger drop. And I think the broader market is going to pull back with it. I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's after OPEX, maybe it's before, maybe it's in May. There's just something out there. And I think even the way Trump was talking about, don't worry. He said something to the bankers who were concerned. He was like, don't worry, the tariff trouble's almost over. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit foreboding. But when I see things rallying like this, and they're under key levels, like let's pull up the Bollinger Bands right now. Yeah, look at this. You're going to get an explosive move at some point. Maybe not today. Maybe closer towards like Sunday, Monday of next week, you could have some type of direction. But these things are going to start closing in, especially if you start trading within this range below the 15 to 200. And if you don't break above it and you start trading below it, you get that death cross. Whew. Let's see the last time we got a death cross on Bitcoin. Feels like forever, right? October 2023, and it was the weakest death cross, right? That was when they juiced the shit out of the markets. It was an election year coming up. CZ was in handcuffs. This market was just absolutely ready for anything to happen. And it rallied hard as shit. You had the ETF news. You had the bad guys out of the way. The bad guys were working with the good guys relative to what you believe is the good guys. We even found out that CZ ratted on Justin Sun the other day.
I was just going to say, I mean, I'm not surprised even a little bit that he would CZ would roll in a heartbeat. Like that is just that's so obvious that was going to happen.
So let's think about this. First SBF, Justin Sun. Again, I don't think anything's going to happen to Justin Sun. We're living in the era of crypto fraud and no one gives a shit. But it's just so funny. And we knew that. There was like 4 months for this guy. Fucking ratted as much as he could on probably more people than we know. It's just Justin Stone was the first one that got leaked. Things aside, that's what we're kind of looking at right here. I think we're going to get a death cross that actually means something. And if that's the case, we're looking at 73K once again, because we never touched it really. And if it gets worse than that, obviously we're looking at 60K. But I do think that we are going to have some room for some speculative movements to the upside. Maybe not necessarily in Bitcoin over the summer. I think it still will go up. But I think we're going to see some of this dominance. Like right now we're at 63, 63. I think we're going to push the dominance up a little bit more. Maybe get to like north of 64. And then, maybe dominance pulls back over the summer. And that allows some room for some of these alts to rally fairly hard. I'm treating alts like small caps right now in the equity market. I think that they'll probably rally too. We're looking at XRP right here. It's within the 50 and the 200. Overbought, it's probably going to lose the 200 if it tests it again, right? That's only at 195. It's lost it a few times so far in April. But you're looking at somewhere between 162 and 127. I would assume 127 is like an area we'd be going to. ETH, say what you want about it. It is not breaking out of these resistances. It doesn't want to. It's getting overbought. Look, it's gone from, it was in the 13. So say 14 to 17. Very small range. Again, I don't think that's necessarily a ton of money that's been moving it. But you're not moving at all and you're getting overbought completely. And this looks like the volumes are dropping off like crazy down here. So at some point, I think that we are going to get that.
I went ahead and I was just tired of dealing with this. So today I went ahead and converted my remaining ETH over to Bitcoin. I just don't really know if I have faith in ETH and the Ethereum Foundation to like continue to like, because ETH hasn't really progressed in a while. It's still, when it's busy, still really expensive. It's still a pain in the ass to swap and bridge and use the L2s. And I haven't seen any progress. And I was like, is the upside really there? Like, is the risk reward really worth it compared to just having more exposure to Bitcoin? And I just couldn't bring myself to be like, yes, the upside is there. Like, I think if you're looking for a higher multiple, I still think Solana or even my beloved Fartcoin has a higher multiple, range of outcomes than ETH does. So I don't know. I was just like, I've been sitting on this shit forever, and it's not doing anything, and I'm just tired of it. So, look at this. Look at this beautiful. I fell in Trump right now. What a beautiful chart we have right here. Have you ever seen anything as beautiful as what Fartcoin is set up to do at this point?
I mean, yeah, because I called it. But this is I'm sad because when I called it, it was down here at like, I don't know, 41 cents. Today it's at 91 cents. It's a 50-cent move. You got 2 quarters out of it per fart. So, that's a great return. Now, do I think it's the end of this move? I think there's going to be a pullback. But that being said, I think this is the summer of fart. I think Fartcoin is going to might be
summer.
Fart boy summer. Maybe. I will see how things pull back. If it holds this resistance here at like 52 or something like that, or whenever it decides to come back and test this, holds that, and we get a rate cut, and QE looks like the move, we're going to see some stupid movements in some of these memes, and I will be there buying up small bags because I still think there's going to be a lot of upside for these small market caps, and I'm not going to go ape shit in one or a bunch of different ones. Just a few good quality, sturdy projects like Fartcoin.
The tech is second to none.
It's the shit. Don't even question it. Not financial advice, but yeah, I think Fartcoin is one that obviously this was a great pattern. It's trading technically. I'm going to keep my eye on this one. We're going to keep covering it on the show because that's what we do. Fartcoin is us. I don't know what I'm saying. So
everybody farts, man. Since the dawn of time, every human in history doesn't have a ton of things in common, but when they do, is that they've all farted.
Yes, and they all have one other
thing. Take that to the bank.
They're going to shit themselves in these markets. And they're going to. Speaking of rotten shorts, sorry, not even talking about Solana anymore. Let's go to GameStop, man. There's some crazy shit going on over here. And
this chart is yours is out of control. What is going on here? I can't even see what the actual candles are.
This is science. A form of science, but there's a lot of things going on here, right? I got curves that are, I don't even know what I'm zooming in and out. So let me just tell you the whole GameStop story right here. See, Roy and Kitty tweeted the time cover. It's a 109, which is 69. And then he ends with 420, which is marijuana. Yeah, high police. But the point is, he's talking about it's time to cover your shorts from 109, which is January 9th, all the way to 420, which would have been OPEX 417, which this week, that's why price action doesn't fucking matter for GameStop at all this week. But if Roaring Kitty comes back on 420 and tweets, the symbolic nature of that on Easter, a day known for a man who rose from the dead, is just absolutely insane. If that's the tinfoil and you start seeing just nonstop, they're calling back shares, they're exercising these shares, these options, and they're having to buy these back at a fucking premium. This is the mother of all short squeezes that's coming. That's the tinfoil. But the reason I say this is because you're probably going to get pulled back into OPEX onto this blue line right here. I'll make it, let's say, green. Yeah, make it that one. Come back. You're probably going to test it, but you almost had a death cross and you didn't. Now you're above the 50 and the 200 moving average for GameStop. You hit back on this, you get a tweet, you're going to go parabolic. That's my opinion. You filled all these gaps. You really did. That's the great part. Now, could it go a lot higher? I think it's probably in the 30s at some point in May. Could it even be a lot higher than that? 2, 3 times, 4 times that? Possibly. If this curve starts getting parabolic, and once we start getting into May, you start seeing, oh shit, it's actually riding this thing. I mean, you guys, we're probably going to see candles like this, right? This last year, this was a bullshit year. He was talking about a year later that this market was going to squeeze like crazy. $64 a share. Yeah, we're trading right now at 26.70, probably go down to about 25, 24, pushing up like crazy. This could be what breaks the derivatives markets. It really can. Ken Griffin might eat some poo-poo on CNBC with, I don't know who else is, Jim Cramer. They might be like, this GameStop stuff is just fucking crazy, man. Well, Jim Cramer wouldn't swear.
Your Jim Cramer voice gets me every time.
And that being said, it goes to the other trade, which is FFAI. I think this is going to pull back a little bit, but we're getting closer and closer. And what day does this end? If we close within this white spot right here, it ends on Monday, April 21st. It would be the day after Easter when markets are open once again. We might be in for absolute crazy shit fireworks. That's my whole GameStop. I think right now is the last week that the shorts can stay afloat before they start losing even more money to the point where we're going to start getting margin calls. Maybe Jerome Powell's got to walk in and he's got to be like, rate cuts, one rate cut. We're going to hold at 2%. And then, markets juice because GameStop, and you see all these memes, AMC, all these other ones just start going up because people are degenerates. They're gamblers right now. And they think that, oh, this is the bottom. This is the bottom. It's not the bottom. It's not the bottom. So that's my little spiel right there. Guys, I'm optimistic as fuck right now. I hope you all are too.
All right. We're going to end it on that note today. Appreciate those of you who joined us. We'll be back on Wednesday, same time, same place. Talk through the latest in the markets, the reaction to Jerome Powell speaking that day. So make sure to join us for that. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, drop a comment. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. Stay safe in the markets, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Take care, everyone.